Hello everyone. Today I am going to be doing the top 15 books of 2015. It was kind of hard to pick out 15 books because I had like 12, 13 of my favorite books. I felt like I had to do 15, so I picked out a few of them that I really enjoyed, but it might not have been my top favorite. So with that being said, I'm just gonna jump straight on into the books. I am going in order between my least favorites to my most favorites, if that makes sense. So I love all of these books equally and a ton, but I did kind of order them from 15 to my favorite being number 1. The 15th book on my list for the top 15 books of 2015 is Steel by Carrie Vaughn. I really enjoyed this book. I can't say that I loved it to the max. I really enjoyed it though. It's basically about this girl and she is a fencer and her family goes on vacation to the Bahamas, and after a freak storm hits the boat that she's on, Jill is knocked overboard, and when she resurfaces, she is back in time and she is found herself on a pirate ship. Now, you know how much I love my pirates, so I really enjoyed this book. It could have been better. There was a few parts where I was just like, it was okay. It definitely had its little bit of flaws, which is why I couldn't make it like a super favorite of mine, but I did really enjoy this one. The next favorite of mine is My Life with the Walter Boys by Ali Novak. This was originally a Wattpad book and it was made into a novel, and I really enjoyed this book. If you just want a kind of cute contemporary read, this is the perfect book for you. It's about this girl who her parents die in a car crash. Jackie has to move in with her new guardians and they have 11 boys and 1 girl. It's just about her basically trying to adjust to her new lifestyle. The only thing that kind of bugged me about this book was the ending. I guess that she has a second book on Wattpad, but it's not very good, or that's what I've heard as I've been kind of looking around to see if there was a second book. And this one kind of ended where it was a happy ending, but you didn't know for sure. I don't know, it's kind of confusing, but I didn't really love this one. I feel like if it would have ended better, I would have liked it a lot more, but I still did really enjoy this one. Number 13 on my list is specifically Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I really enjoyed the first 2 books of the Throne of Glass series. If you have not heard about the Throne of Glass series, I don't know where you have been, but basically it's about a girl named Selena, and she is an assassin, and in the beginning of the novel, she is in a prison, and then someone from the King's Guard takes her out of prison and takes her to the palace so she can compete to become the king's champion. So that's the premise of the first book, and I really liked it, but I loved the second one. The second one is my favorite out of the whole series. I did not really like the third and the fourth book. I had my problems with it. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that now, but Crown of Midnight was so good and I absolutely loved it. The 12th book on my list is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I really enjoyed this book. It was something that I've never really read from before. I've never really dived into that sort of nature of that book, and I really loved it. I was kind of hesitant on picking it up because I didn't know if I was gonna like it, but I ended up really enjoying it. It's about this boy king, and he has picked a new wife every single day, and after that night he kills them, and it's about this girl named Shazi. She has a longer name, but I do not know how to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna call her Shazi. But she basically volunteers to become the king's wife, and then her plan is to kill him, and it's basically her and how she survives the first night, just the story as it progresses. If you have not already picked it up, you definitely should. Number 11 in my top favorites is Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. This was just a really kind of fun book for me. I read Cruel Beauty by her last year. While I did enjoy that one more than this one because they are companion novels, they're set in the same world but completely different characters. This one surrounds a girl named Rachel, these creatures called the Bloodborne and the Forsaken being more evil than the Bloodborne, and Rachel is a Bloodborne. And it's basically what she is trying to do is she is trying to stop darkness from happening there, and she has to go and save the world basically, and she has to figure out how to do that. Ending might have been predictable, but I totally did not see it coming, so that's why I really thought it was super interesting. Next book on my list is Captured by Erica Stevens, I believe her name is. I actually have like 30 pages left of this book, but I already know it's going to be in my favorites, so that's why I put it in there. It is about this girl named Arya, and she is captured from the woods, sent to be a blood slave for the vampires. So the vampires are ruling the world, and she is chosen by the prince to be his blood slave. This book made me feel a lot of angst. It's definitely one of those very, very angsty, like, romance reads. I really, really enjoyed it. It was another just kind of fun book, even though there was some kind of stressful moments in there. I still just had a lot of fun reading it, and I just really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it, even if you're not a huge fan of vampires, because it's definitely not a cheesy vampire book at all. The 9th book on my list is another vampire-ish book, and that is Velvet by Temple West. This book kind of took me by surprise. I just looked at it at the bookstore. What really attracted to me at first was the cover. I mean, look at this cover. It is so pretty. I picked it up, I read the back of it, and it's about this girl named Caitlin, and basically she is saved by this boy in a snowstorm, and it turns out that he is a vampire and he has to be her bodyguard. I'm not going to say too much else about this book because I really didn't know too much about it going in. I finished this book in one day. That is how much I loved it. It was so good. I just could not stop reading it, and I literally sat down all day and just read it straight through. It made me laugh. It made me cry. It didn't make me cry like really hard tears, but I was crying. Like, they weren't teary up. I was actually crying. Like, this book was so good, and it left on such a cliffhanger, and I believe the author is coming out with a second book. I hope she is coming out with a second book because I really, really need it, because this book was so incredible. And like I said before, if you don't like vampires, I would still give this a try because it is not too vampire heavy, and it's not really about vampires that much, so it's very, very good. The 8th book on my list is The Book of Ivy by Amy Engel. I've talked a lot about this book, and I'm not going to talk about it too much. I did do a spoiler-free review. I will leave that review down below if you want to check it out. So I said all of my thoughts and what this book is about, so if you want to go check that out, you can. But I just really love this book. It's incredible. You would love it. Just read it. It's amazing. The 7th book on my list is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I actually read this book before I read the Throne of Glass series, so I actually do like this book more than the Throne of Glass series. I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I think it is, but I really, really enjoyed this book. I've not heard what this book is about. It's about a girl named Farah, the huntress, and she ends up killing a fae. So a fae named Tamlin comes to her home and takes her and says, since you killed this fae, you have to live with me in my home. So she goes with him. This book is so good. The 6th book on my list is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This book was incredible. It took me like a month or so after this book came out to actually pick it up because I didn't buy it and I got it at the library. And so I heard a bunch of the hype and I just heard it was good, heard it was good, heard it was good. And the hype was not wrong. It was so good. It's a dual point of view between Leia and Elias. Leia is a slave and Elias is a soldier, and neither of them are happy with their positions. Elias wants more from his life. Elias feels like the Empire is not doing good and he feels like they are corrupt, and Leia is part of Rebel Alliance and she's a slave to the commander who is the highest ranking in the Empire. Stories intertwine. It's super action-packed. It has you on your toes. You don't know what's gonna happen next. The fifth book on my list is The Fate of 10 by Pittacus Lore, the sixth book in the Lauren Legacies series. I know there has been a lot of negative reviews and negative talk surrounding these books. When I first picked up these books, I did not know the whole story between the authors. You can separate yourself from all the drama. This series is so good, and I definitely feel like it's very underrated. It's not like the best written books out there, not by a long shot, but it's just fun and it's action-packed and it's really intense, and it's a very, very easy series to read and to get into. This series is just amazing and it just keeps on getting better and better and better. The fourth book on my list is Nil Unlocked. This is the second book in the Nil trilogy. I read the first book and I really enjoyed it. The first book, Nil, is about a girl named Charlie, and she is sent on to this island and she doesn't know how she got there, and she learns that she has a year to get off through these different portals that appear, or else she will die. If that doesn't hook you, I don't know what will. Nil Unlocked was my favorite. It is about a different person on the island. In the first book, Nil, there was a character named Reeves, and he was my favorite character, but he was not in it the most. He was not the main character. But this book is about Reeves and another girl named Sky. The third book on my top 15 list is the one and only The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire by Dan Howell and Phil Lester. I also have a spoiler-free review on this book, so I will leave that down below if you want to watch it. So I will not say too much about this book, just know that it was my third favorite out of the whole year. It was super funny, super hilarious, and super good. And the last two books on my list, I kind of cheated a little bit because they are the first two books in a trilogy. These are my two favorite books out of 2015, my two favorite books ever, and that is Red Rising and Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. These two books are so good. My dad read the first one before me, and he said, you gotta read this book, it's really, really good. I was super hesitant on getting into this book, and even when I was reading it, kind of like, this is okay, I don't really like it that much, but as I got into it, I just blew through it. I'm not gonna say too much about these just because I want you guys to go into them not knowing anything, because I literally had no idea about this book. All I knew was about a guy named Darrow, and he lives on Mars. He's a red, and he is in the lowest class of society. And that's all I knew about it, and that's all you guys should know. Just know that it is incredible and that you need to pick it up. I feel like this is going to be such a long video, so if you have stuck around, thank you so much for watching. That was my top 15 books of 2015. I forgot to mention earlier, but I read 60 out of my 50 books on my reading challenge. I did pass it. I know 50 is kind of a low number, but I'm really proud of it, especially with school and work being as busy as it was. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!